So, I just did a binge of seasons 1 through 3 of Overlord after being a season and some odd episodes behind initially, did a binge, and now here's my discussion / analysis on everything that I just watched. And personally, I would consider Overlord peak isekai, which I don't think is an unpopular opinion, because even though, you always will hear light novel readers say the anime doesn't live up to light novels, I mean, universally, it does seem like Overlord is a pretty appreciated series, and I think rightfully so. And something you'll be able to recognize if you follow the channel over multiple anime seasons is that the shows I analyze the hardest are generally the ones that make you question and see things rather than just being black or white, good and evil, but rather seeing things from other characters' perspectives. What normally our side characters view the actions of our main characters, and if the roles were reversed with us following them, how would we view what they're actually doing? And for a person like Eins, this skeleton overlord who basically played a game, the typical formula, servers got shut off, he's still here. But the interesting thing about Eins is he is, in my opinion, the best part of Overlord. But with that said, he's not the thing that makes it amazing. Because here's the thing. When most isekai stories excel, it's because they have a great main character. But you can always dig deep and say, okay, yeah, but the world building's not that great. The side cast isn't that amazing. But what Overlord excels at is by not keeping the focus specifically on Eins. The first season mostly does, because it's kind of like the establishing season. So of course, you're going to get a lot more content just directly focused on Eins than you do in seasons 2 and 3, where they, for episodes at a time, will not even show you Bone Daddy. They'll show you Lizardmen, or they'll show you a village and what's going on here. But by doing that, what it does an amazing job at is it sets in motion like building a bunch of dominoes. You're setting up all the dominoes, so eventually they'll all come falling down in such a perfect motion that you're left honestly speechless. And even though after I was finished an episode, I would look at like the Crunchyroll comments just to get an idea of what people were feeling back in the day. And it does seem like there was some heat towards stuff like the Lizardman arc. But the thing that made Overlord so great to me was actually those arcs, where you separate yourself from the main character and you see what normally could be the main story of any other anime. But Overlord's like, no. We're going to take what normally would be a basic, fine, sometimes enjoyable premise and have that be a small element of the overall picture that Overlord's going for. The thing that makes, I think, Eins such an interesting character is he's the absolute state of neutral. He has this passive ability that stops him from having human emotions take over. So if he gets excited, if he gets pissed off, you'll see him glow and he'll come back down to a neutral state. It's something that basically stops him from ever becoming too evil or too good or anything else in the middle. He's just someone who specifically believes that what he does has to be beneficial for Nazarick, and anything else, like, he's not going to let emotions take over, which in return can let you see some pretty questionable and sometimes outright evil decisions take place, especially towards the later episodes, especially towards in like season 3. Like, there's a moment where essentially he's okay sacrificing waves of adventurers and leading them into the tombs of where he calls home, specifically just to let them be killed, massacred, tortured, tested upon, simply to make sure that his right-hand woman be able to make sure that the defenses are okay. He does a lot of things that, if your roles were reversed, like there's characters such as Climb, who in any other show would be the generic isekai hero character. And so many times you see things from their perspective and you're setting in motion, getting to know them on this personal level. And instead of just having them be the generic hero who rises to the top, they're just that side character that lets you say, honestly, I hope this guy makes it, but it's hard to say because anything that isn't going to be beneficial to the tomb is essentially going to get killed. And I think that's what makes Overlord so special, is that rather than just making Eins a straight evil character or a straight righteous character, he's completely down the middle, where depending on the arc, he can be bone-chillingly evil or just questionably compassionate at times. Like the idea that there's this one joke that happens either in seasons 2 or 3, where one of the people that he's kind of keeping in touch with, basically one of his 3 identities, is, he's saying, you know what, there's 3 people in this village I want to keep safe. The guy making me potions, his grandmother, and his love interest. And because the sister of said love interest complimented so much about his home, he's like, you know what, there's a 4th that now needs to be protected. So he has these moments that are just hilarious, but at the same time, it's not like it's because he's like, oh, it's a daunting little girl who I need to protect. It's simply because she worships where we live. Therefore, she's a good person that, I wouldn't mind having being a subordinate or anything like that. And that's what I love about Overlord, is watching Eins' journey and what he'll do to be beneficial. And he has 3 different personalities that you witness over these 3 seasons, each of which is so interesting because so many different characters will be like, oh, I absolutely love personality 2. But I don't realize that personality 3, who is actually my arch enemy, and, if only my best boy over here could take care of him. It's hilarious because, he has his general persona, which is, of course, Eins. He's the supreme leader, supreme ruler. You have his first personality mask that he puts on when he saves the initial village, just looks like a powerful sorcerer. And then there is, of course, the adventure version. And it's so interesting to see how he continues to explore out in this world. And for him, it's mainly just not knowing. Is there other players who are now trapped in this? There's no way I'm the only powerful person out there. So I need to make sure I get more powerful. I have more influence. I understand what is and isn't different from what I used to play. But in return, because he's progressing outside and all of his NPCs turned human or, turned demon that are actually alive now, they view him as this evil supreme leader. And I think one of the best jokes in this show is the idea of accidental world domination. And I absolutely love how someone who could have been in any other show, just the yes man, the strategist, he's fine, you might like his personality, but you're not going to consider him the best character given how little screen time the anime gives him. But every moment with this man, and how he always views what Eins is doing as this master level chess maneuver, and Eins has no goddamn idea what he's talking about. And then we'll have to act like the supreme leader being like, ah, yes, you saw through my plans. How about as a reward, you can tell everyone else in the chamber what my plan is. And because he thinks it's world domination, he gets thrown deeper and deeper. And even though he's not opposed to world domination, it is something like, what in the actual hell? Like, that's not a bad plan, but at the same time, I can't let you think I didn't think of something like that. Otherwise, you might overthrow me. There's so much going on in his mind, and it's what makes it so amazing. And I think what I really like about seasons 2 and 3 a lot is how it does give the side cast and different perspectives in this world, whether it is the lizardmen, whether it is this village full of goblins. Just, you think it's going to be a random girl he saves, a little item that he gives her back in season 1 that can summon goblins, and they turn out to have their own stories, and you honestly feel like you care for them, or at least I know I did. I know people make jokes about how, like, in season 2 there's a lizard sex scene and stuff, but ultimately, like, the story that's being told there, and how all that is being used is to make one of his generals be able to make critical decisions on his own, because for him, these are all NPCs now turned alive, and they just blindly follow all the orders. So by giving them these missions that he's not asking them to win, he's asking them to make their own decisions. Do you think some of these people should live, even though I told you to kill the entire village? And in return, it lets them grow as people, rather than just staying as static objects like they were in the video game counterpart. And I really like seeing just how the world opens up, or how, honestly, I'd say my favorite character outside of Bone Daddy is Sebas himself, because this butler, I seriously could have an entire core 12, 13 episodes of just his slice of life adventures, because he feels like the guy who, when playing a video game, doesn't do a single main mission, but picks up every side mission in the process. Like, the idea that he feels like such a genuinely good dude in the face of a lot of questionable characters, and in return, he just picks up so many people, and without him, so many, I think, interesting side characters outside of the main group would be dead without him. And I think it's so interesting to see how different characters can steal the spotlight so unexpectedly and then just roll with it in such a great maneuver. It's just such an amazing world, which makes you question the morality of things. It was actually funny seeing so many different people over different videos of when the show was releasing week by week, and seeing them being like, I can't believe Eins did that evil thing, or, man, I thought we were the good guys. And I love seeing that, because this show pretty early on made it clear that he is a skeleton, that he has no more connection to the human world other than where his original life started. And though he does recognize where he came from, he's a completely neutral state who does anything and everything for Nazarick. Anything else doesn't matter to him. And while he does have compassionate actions, like giving rewards to certain, servants of him and things like that. And sure, there's plenty of humans who worship the ground he walks on because of what he did, but everything is beneficial to his tomb at the end of the day, and anything else is fine. And I think the moment that really like sells how far he'll go to me is actually deeper in season 3, when you really start to see what he's willing to sacrifice just for simple testing and experimentation, and it's pretty crazy. There's some great action. Yes, the CG is wonky, but honestly, maybe it was just my memory or just what people said online, but I swore to God the CG was way worse from what I remember. But honestly, while yes, the skeletons in some moments can be really janky, I've honestly seen worse CGI in recent anime seasons than what Overlord ever delivered. And honestly, while sometimes it's laughable, it becomes background noise at the end of the day. And I mean, I just love looking at the world in general and the cool ways abilities will evolve, like the Sheltier fight in, I think it was season 1, if not season 2, I forget which one it was. But it's just so great to see how this show makes you care about the world and opens it up to so many different perspectives. So rather than just having a good isekai character who, yes, is complex, but honestly everything else is pretty one-dimensional, Overlord's like, hey, everything's gonna feel so complex that yes, you're always waiting to see Eins more, but because you see all these different perspectives, it makes it so much better than pretty much every other isekai out there. I'm not saying it's the overall best one, but it's definitely peak isekai, and only a select handful of shows can say that. But I'd love to know everyone's thoughts. What do you think of Overlord in general? What do you hope to see with season 4, which will be kicking off rather soon? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.